it's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry about that. Some other shenanigans have been going on. No, nothing serious, don't worry, it's fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to take that long from the Wii Retrospective to 7, which is the topic of today, of course. You've seen the title, or the timestamp in the compilation. Sorry about that, but yeah, we're here. We're gonna talk about Mario Kart 7. I don't intend to make this any longer. It's funny, because in a way I feel like I'm talking about Super Circuit again. Mainly in the sense of I have no experience with this game. Like, I have no hands-on experience at all. I've never even seen a 3DS physically. Like, I don't know what the 3DS looks like outside of, like, pictures and videos. So I don't have any experience with Mario Kart 7 until this very video. Obviously, I've seen videos, reviews, whatever, but now I got to sit there and play the game. And it's in its very, very own weird way. It did feel like I was playing the game already, like I have played the game before, even though I've never had. And I think I can blame a certain other game we'll look at next time for that. And I probably should say that for Mario Kart 8. Anyway, for Mario Kart 7, first things first, we return to the handheld scene. So obviously we went from DS to Wii to now the 3DS. What's interesting to me looking at the Nintendo handhelds, it feels like each handheld is like the console counterpart, but just slightly weaker, if that makes any sense. Like, for example, I feel like the Game Boy is the NES counterpart, the Game Boy Advance is the Super Nintendo counterpart, the DS the 64. What does the 3DS do though? It's like, you had the Wii already at this point. What's the counterpart to? I would say it's like a GameCube Lite. I wouldn't say it reaches Wii level, like graphical fidelity and graphical power and whatnot. I would say it's like a GameCube. In like, if I had to compare it to any home Nintendo console, I would say it's a GameCube. So that means we get model quality that it's not as blocky as Mario Kart DS. You know, sometimes the textures could like look really funky. Again, DS Donkey Kong, he looks like a Lego, and his face is his teeth are weird. So now in Mario Kart 7, we get actual better model quality, as well as some better resolution. It's not like super high resolution or anything. The footage you are seeing here is through my PC 3DS. Sorry, it's winter. I might be getting sick soon. But yeah, I would say with the higher resolution through my 3DS, you can see these models. Sure, they're still blocky, right? But I look at this game and I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at Mario Kart Double Dash. I can see the comparisons. I think this game looks very, very good. I think it's a very colorful, very pretty game. However, I will say it's a bit off aesthetically. Like, the art style, yeah, it's colorful, but it feels like a lesser Double Dash, like color-wise, art style-wise. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the 3D, like they were trying to do a 3D or whatever. I get the 3DS, the 3D slider. Maybe if you make too many colors, maybe that fucks up the people 3D view or something. I don't know. But I don't know. It looks a bit flat sometimes. I look at it and it's like, I don't know, like, I like how it looks, but at the same time, the art style, I don't know, it looks flat. It looks weird. Anyway, like, not just the aesthetic of the game itself, it's like, even before you get into, like, a race, right? You see the menu, and I get that DS and Wii had something similar going. Especially Wii, I feel like this menu is very Wii-like, especially because of the menu theme itself. It feels like a Wii menu remix, which I love the Mario Kart Wii menu song. This one's pretty cool too. But this game, I don't know, it feels like Gran Turismo in a way. Like, it feels more, quote-unquote, professional. It's weird. It doesn't feel as Mario. It doesn't feel as colorful, because in, like, I don't know, in Wii, I've been playing Wii with some friends recently, and yeah, the menu there isn't that colorful either, but you have all the characters moving, and they flip around and whatever. Here, when you have them sitting in a garage, in a car, it feels a bit stiff in a way. I don't know. I know it's a weird point to make. It's just, it doesn't look very interesting. But, so, sorry about the graphics and aesthetic rant. I wanted to get that out there in the first place, so we can now get into a bit more of the game itself. So again, 3DS, that means not only do we get the double screen back, which means we get the map on the bottom screen again, and the lesser HUD game on the top screen. Like, you don't have a lot of HUD in the top screen. Sorry about the way you're seeing the visuals, by the way. I could not find a proper setting that shows both screens together like I did for the Mario Kart DS section. So sorry if it looks a bit annoying. I wanted obviously to have the top screen as the main part of the video, but sorry about the black nothing around. I do apologize for that. It's weird. Recording 3DS games is a bit weird. I haven't figured it out very well yet. This is actually the first 3DS game I ever recorded, so sorry about that. But not only do we get the double screens back, it also means with the 3DS, we don't have the D-pad. And if you remember the previous sections of this video, like as a Super Mario Kart, Super Circuit, not so much DS, because DS I was a bit more lenient, I wasn't that upset about the D-pad. So, not having the D-pad, that means we're playing more of a home console Mario Kart as opposed to the previous handheld Mario Karts. Which means I think we can say the handheld and home console Mario Karts, they finally merged, I would say, in Mario Kart 7. You take the previous handheld history and the home console history, and here's where they meet, I would say. So what does that leave us with? I'm sorry, you know these videos are not scripted, sorry. So, roster-wise, yeah, it's not as large as Mario Kart Wii. I think it's not even as large as Double Dash. I think it's slightly bigger than Double Dash if I'm not counting incorrectly. But the roster is odd. So, no Waluigi. Let's just get straight into it. No Waluigi. I heard rumors that there is no Waluigi because he looked scary on 3DS graphics, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because Waluigi is in other Mario games on the 3DS, like the sports games, so I don't know. And this game looks good. I don't imagine Waluigi being like scary. Also, another weird thing, War is unlockable. It's a nothing comment, I know, it's just, it was weird playing through the game and seeing, you unlocked Wario, I don't know, it was odd. But what's even weirder is the newcomers for this game. This game's newcomers are very funny. So let's start nice and easy. We got Shy Guy, finally. Ever since you get like, I think it was Mario Kart DS, when you're playing with someone that doesn't have the game, like you could do the DS sharing, but they don't have the game, you play as Shy Guys. So it was nice that we finally take that Shy Guy, and we put it in an actual Mario Kart playable game. You don't need, oh, multiplayer exclusive Shy Guy. No, you actually have Shy Guy readily available for you. Well, readily, you need to unlock it, but you have him there, you can play it on your own, you can be Shy Guy if that's what you really want to do. I don't judge. I will play Shy Guy. I don't judge. Then we have Lucky 2, which is really, really nice. Like, finally we see the camera 3, 2, 1 poster boy in the Mario series. He can finally race, he can join the party. I think that's pretty cool. Finally seeing him out of the 3, 2, 1 and the flags, and you can play. You're free to go play in the playground, Lucky 2. You're free. Which is funny because you still have Lucky 2 as the 3, 2, 1 and whatnot, so it's funny. Very funny. Then we have something very weird. Like, I don't mind, of course. I don't think I mind any of these choices outside of one. We have Wiggler. And he looks so cool. Like, you have this big specimen, this big chunk of a man driving a car. Like, he only needs one of his little round thingies to drive. The rest is just Wiggler dancing around. I love him. Then we have Metal Mario, which this is something I don't like in Mario Kart 7, and it gets far worse in 8. We'll talk about it, but you probably know already, but we will talk about it. I have my peace of mind for that. So, I get Metal Mario, he developed into his own creature in a way. Like, you can put Metal Mario in like sports games and whatnot, I get it. He was like in Mario Golf 64. Is that or Shadow Mario or something like that? It was like another Mario. I kind of blame Smash 64 for this, as much as I love the game and, you know, it's the reason why I'm here in the first place. That's the game that made Metal Mario, like, its own entity. Like, you run into him in arcade mode, or versus mode, one-player mode, whatever. Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 6, so I call it arcade mode. So you run into him, and the game paints it as his own specimen. He has his own stage, his own thing, his own sound effects. He doesn't talk like Mario. He doesn't even talk. So, like, I think they took that, and eventually Metal Mario became like an extra skin you can make real quick. You just add some weird sound effects. Yeah, I think it's fine here, but again, Mario Kart 8, we'll talk about it, because they really go off the deep end there. Then, last but not least, Honey Queen. You might be thinking, what the fuck is a Honey Queen? You know the queen in Honey Hive Galaxy, in Mario Galaxy? The one you scratch her back and she gives you a star? Well, you find the silver stars, but she's like, oh yeah, thank you for the scratch. Yeah. Her. So, this is where I'm running into a bit of a problem, because it's like, I love that you have a Mario Galaxy character here. Thank you. Because yeah, Rosalina is cool and all, but she's like the obvious one. So outside of Rosalina, who would you put in a Mario Kart? Not Honey Queen. Like, thank you again for the Galaxy representation. You know me. Mario Galaxy 2, my favorite game. I have like an hour-long video on Galaxy 1 already. But not Honey Queen. I would put the monkey in Galaxy 2. He was cool as fuck. I don't remember his name, sadly, but he was cool as fuck. So yeah, we got 16 characters. I say there's more than Double Dash because you have Ami. So it's 17, actually. Again, we had the bigger roster. I get it. It was a bigger roster, but it was a home console. But I don't know. Like, I will always love the Wii roster. I think that's the best roster because it's so diverse. But I don't mind this roster. I think the newcomer choices are so funny and wacky that I can actually forgive it. I think I can forgive this. I think this is very refreshing. Like, again, Mario Kart 8, we'll talk about it. But this roster feels very... We're taking from all the Mario weird side characters, and let's put some of them in. Again, Honey Queen, Lucky 2, Wiggler. I like that. I like these choices. Again, I think Wii is superior because of Funky Kong on its own, but I like it. Once you picked your favorite character, or Honey Queen, you get this little roulette that you might recognize from the Mario movie. This is where the inspiration comes from, obviously. Obviously, I don't think anyone thought other than that. I think everyone saw that and was like, oh my god, Mario Kart 8. But this is actually where it starts. Car customization. Instead of picking the car like you did in Wii or Double Dash, or just getting into it with a race car like you did in the older games, you get to actually build your car. Now that sounds pretty cool. You can pick the car itself, the tires, and the glider, which we will talk about later. Depending on what you pick, it's kind of like in Wii, you pick a certain character and a car, and the stats will be different. Here, you can change your speed, acceleration, handling, whatnot. I haven't noticed much of a difference. I've been playing with different, like, car combos, like just mixing shit around, nothing specific. And the only time I notice a difference is with the big tires, like the funny big tires you saw in the first trailer. The handling in these suck. Like, they actually suck. Not because of the controls themselves, again, we'll talk about that later, but you try to turn with this shit and it's tough, dude. It's so tough. I hope you're not playing this on an actual 3DS because you will actually fight the circle pad hard. Other than that, honestly, I don't think there's much of a difference. Like, I get it. It says, oh, your higher speed, oh, your acceleration. It ultimately shouldn't matter. I think it's more of a, like, a, oh, I think this looks cool, or oh, this looks cute, or oh, that's funny, I'll use that. It's not much of a, like, a competitive advantage. I know, obviously, there will be, like, the optimal combo. I don't really care. So, just mix and match whatever you want. Be careful with the big tires. Do be careful. So, For the items, I know some people are probably like, where are the tracks? Where's the control? We'll get to it later. Sorry that I sometimes change the scheme. I just feel like talking about certain things first sometimes. I'm sorry. So, for the items, we get your traditional stuff, you know, banana, triple bananas, green shell, 3 green shells, red shell, 3 red shells, blue shell, bomb, mushroom, 3 mushrooms, golden mushroom. The bullets pack, you know, like, in case you were curious, at this point the bullet is a mainstay. You have DS and Wii, this pretty much solidifies it. You also have the blooper. I would say, like I did in DS, with a handheld, I think blooper is actually more effective. Because obviously the screen is smaller, but when you get bloopered, well shit, I actually cannot see anything. Again, you can use the map if you're really that kind of guy. But yeah, I would say the blooper actually is very effective again. I was playing Wii multiplayer the other day, and the blooper, I will admit, it was effective there. But that's because multiplayer, you know, splits it in 4, so it's a bit tough. But when you're playing solo, it ultimately doesn't matter in such a big screen. But on DS and 3DS, I would say it does. Then obviously lightning, of course. Now this is where oh well, on the star. But this is where I get a bit weird with the item, the roster of items, right? Not only did they remove a lot of Wii items, you know, the big mushroom, the cloud, they're gone, but there's only 2 new items. And I know what you might be thinking of, man, there's actually 3. No, so the 2 new items are the fire flower, which I'm honestly quite shocked this wasn't an item before this. Like, I really appreciate this is here, it's actually very fun to use, but I'm surprised this wasn't done before. I don't know, I think it's funny. And then you have the Tanuki Leaf, which I love that you have the Tanuki Leaf here. I love seeing more Mario power-ups as items. Like, you know, we're bringing back that idea of, okay, the power-ups, you can actually, you know, use them in the racing. Like, kind of like the feather. I wish the feather came back because of that. It was like Super Mario World power-up in the Carter. Kart Racer. Fuck. I think that's cool. But the Tanuki is kind of ass. It's like, you can walk the tail and it acts like a shield. Let's say someone throws a red shell at you, and I think you can walk it and destroy it, or a green shell, you can walk the tail and destroy it. Other than that, it doesn't do much. I think it gives you like a slight boost of speed, but that's about it. The fire flower, you shoot many balls. It acts like mini green shells, basically, which is probably what you figured. But then the quote-unquote third item is the Lucky 7, which gives you 1 item. Like, you have like 7 items, and it gives you 1 of each, and they're all spinning around you. You have like the ball bomb, the shell, the banana, the star. You know, you have stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool, but it's hard to use because they're all rotating. Whenever you press the L button, you start firing, but you can, I guess you can time it. But ultimately, I just end up mashing L and just causing chaos if I can, and then get the star boost and the mushroom boost, and that's it. Yeah, I don't see much of a practical use. And you'll probably guess Mario Kart 8 has the same thing, and we'll talk about that too. Overall, the item balance itself is far more tamer than in Wii. Like, there's one time I did get hit by like a lot of shit with the CPUs, but I don't think the items are that crazy in this one compared to like Double Dash and Wii. Like, especially when you come right after Mario Kart Wii, the items there are insane. And now you have this, it's far tamer, and I don't know, they help. Obviously, they will always help in modern Mario Kart, but I would say it's like a lesser Super Mario Kart. That if you remember, I said, oh, items won't help you that much. They will help, but not that much. In the same way, it feels like this because of all the other tools you already have in the game. You can pick up speed on and just do it on your own. Like, I appreciate that the skill level, I guess, but I don't know. Items being tamer is kind of boring in a way. So, for the tracks themselves, we have 8 cups, which is basically standard at this point. Don't look at me that way. We'll get to you when you're done. We have 8 cups, 4 tracks each, 4 Cups, like, you know, Mushroom, Fire, Star, Crown. They are all the original tracks, while then you have the other four, which are the remix tracks from previous games. Yeah, all the games, even Wii, which is honestly very interesting to see. The same way it was for DS to have GameCube tracks. You know, it's pretty cool to see. The interesting thing here is the original tracks, they added something very interesting. I know you're thinking about the glider, and yes, I will get to it, but I want to get into that with the control scheme. For the tracks themselves, what I think it's very interesting that they added is, you know how it's typically like 3 laps, or maybe sometimes 5, even 7 if you're Baby Park. In this game, they actually did the opposite. They did a big point A to point B track, and instead of like lapping, the laps are divided by checkpoints, basically. So take something like Woohoo Island. Oh, sorry, Maka Woohoo, my bad. So, I just call it Woohoo Island because it's Woohoo Island, dude. It's Wii Sports Resort. I love that. That's another thing we'll talk about in a sec. So, what they did is you start from point A and you end up in a completely different part of the track. I think that's pretty cool. Like, that allows for more. Obviously, I get it. It's a racing game. You like the idea is to lap around. I wouldn't say make a full game entirely of this concept. I don't think that'll be fun. But I like having from time to time these tracks that are sparkle around. You have, instead of lapping around, get from A to B. I think that's pretty cool. You get to see more of the environment, more of the track. It doesn't get. I don't think it ever gets repetitive like with the typical tracks. But with this, it actually adds to the variety. You're like, oh, okay, we start here, and all of a sudden, oh my god, this the last portion of the track. Oh, this is so beautiful. You have the mountain and the sunset. In the case of Woohoo, you start at the very beginning, and you end up like flying around the Woohoo Island, and it's so sick. I actually really like that. I think that's a crazy cool concept. So I do like that a lot. The rest of the tracks are obviously like 1, 2, 3. You lap around. That's fine. Another thing I like about the tracks themselves, outside of design, again, is that they started to add more Mario, like, fan service, kind of like what DS did. I always mention in these videos that Mario Kart Wii should have had a Galaxy-themed track. And that's what I like about this game. Like, sure, it doesn't have like a Mario 3D Land track, I guess. But I do like that it has references to other Nintendo things. Again, Maka Woohoo. Then you have Mario Circuit. The Mario Circuit, you actually drive inside the castle. You have a Woohoo Loop. It's weird that you have 2 Wii Sport Resort tracks, but one's in the day, the other one's in the sunset, and I love the sunset, so that's fine. But Mario Circuit, for example, you drive in the castle. You're inside Peach's castle. I think that's amazing. That's beautiful. Then, for example, DK Jungle, you have a track dedicated to Donkey Kong Country Returns, and this one was actually made by Retro. And it's amazing, it feels like you're playing Donkey Kong Country. It's so cool. The Retro tracks, ironically enough, yes, they were also made by Retro. I wonder why. They're a good selection, I would say. They're a better selection than in Wii. Personally, you have stuff like This Is Cruise Ship or Waluigi Pinball, and they are all actually remixed in the sense of oh, it's not just the graphics. Like, they actually added the mechanics of Mario Kart 7, which we will get into it. So that's honestly amazing. It adds so much variety to these older tracks. The tracks in the original game, the original Mario Kart 7 tracks, they're already very diverse, very creative, a lot of branching paths through the mechanics. Maybe I should have talked about the mechanics earlier, but I don't care. You bring those mechanics and you put them into stuff like Kalimari Desert or Rainbow Road SNES, and you add a lot of diversity to those older tracks. It's like, if you're tired of playing these tracks over and over, this game actually adds a new spin to them, and it makes them feel refreshing. Just by adding the glider or being able to drive underwater, I think that's so cool. So these retro tracks, I feel like they're the best retro tracks we have so far, like from GBA to Mario Kart 7, because they are actually remaking the tracks in their own way. They're actually remaking the tracks, not just pour them over with the new graphics. That was fine, but now it shows even more effort. So I love that. I think that's amazing. Amazing track design too. So cool. Okay, so now finally, let's talk about how you actually play in these tracks. So your typical Mario Kart stuff, right? You accelerate, you drift, you have two drifts. The controls feel very good. Like they actually feel like you're playing Mario Kart Wii or Double Dash with an actual controller because you have the circle pad this time. You don't have a D-pad anymore. So these tracks are actually very comfortable to racing. It's very, very cool. So it feels like you're playing a console game, but on the go. I think that's amazing. The control scheme finally is on par with the console Mario Kart. I think that's amazing that we come so far from Super Mario Kart, then GBA, then DS, and then 7. I bring those up because it's like D-pad, handheld D-pad, handheld D-pad, but 3D tracks actually instead of just 2D sprite work. And finally the combination. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the mix of handheld and console. So I think that shows a lot more in the controls than anything else. I think the controls are the peak of mixing handheld and console. I think that's fantastic that we're finally here. Which sadly means I won't talk that much about controls in the future because it's like, yeah, I started getting more homogenized. Like I was playing Wii and then I stopped to 7. It's like, yeah, it doesn't feel like this huge, massive change in the controls themselves. Where the massive change does show up is, like I mentioned earlier, the glider, which basically, you know how you do a trick in Wii? Well, you do a trick here, but some ramps actually allow you to go gliding around. You start to fly through the course. You can either race through the course like usual, or take these paths. Maybe they're faster. Maybe you find an upper path that is actually a shortcut. You can find a lot of things with the glider. I think it's pretty cool because it also allows for more diverse track design. Like it's not just... I don't think Mario Kart was ever like super linear, but there were some tracks that you're like, I guess I'll follow the path. There's no cool shortcut, I guess. With the glider, you actually have not only shortcuts, but you have the track splits into like 2 or 3 parts, maybe. Not necessarily one is faster than the other, but it means you can go through each lap and see something different. Ultimately, they're all the same. Maybe one has more risk, but it's shorter. Maybe they're all the same, but what you're seeing is different. It feels like you're racing a different part of the track. I think that's amazing. I think it's pretty cool. So the track design has definitely gotten more diverse from the previous games, just because they added the glider and the ability to drive underwater. So when you drive underwater, you get like this little fan, and you start driving. So it's honestly playing these games, not only through all my life, but for these videos. What used to be like the biggest no, watch out, danger part of the game, it becomes playable. I think it's one of the wildest, most innovative changes Mario Kart has ever done. I think it's pretty cool. Like, you go to an older game, it's like, well, I fell in water, I'm losing place. But now you can actually drive underwater and... amazing stuff. Again, the track design is very diverse, very variety-driven. And it's not only that, it's very satisfying to drive through this. It's like, okay, I'll go through my typical path, or maybe I get wilder and try this new path. Oh my god, turns out this is actually shorter, or no one goes through this, so I get a little breathing time. Thank you. Again, very neat stuff. And the glider, I've seen some things, dude. I have not done them, but I've seen some things. People do some crazy stuff with the glider, man. If you learn how to do this, it's insanely good. As much praise as I have for all of this, I will say playing the game, maybe this is hindsight, but I don't know, it feels weird. Like, it doesn't feel as Mario Kart chaotic as you expect. I think this is one of the more tamer Mario Kart games. I mentioned earlier the items are not as wacky, which definitely loses some like crazy party chaos. It loses some stuff there. But when you're playing the game, it's like, oh, this is pretty neat. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. But I think this is hindsight's fault because I feel like sometimes I'm playing, I'm like, why am I playing this game when I have Mario Kart 8? Like, I know that's not fair. I absolutely get it. Like, on launch, this must have been fantastic. But even when I think about the game and I see it like on launch, like I picture myself on like launch day. And I played, I go through all the tracks. Oh my god, that was so fun. That's so cool. But there is no real reason for you to replay. I think that's mainly because there is nothing to do in the game. Yeah, you had online way back when. I think that's enough. But I think this is where the Mario Kart series started to lose some of the modes. Like Mario Kart Wii, you had time trials, you had battle, you had versus mode, you had online, which apparently was one of the better Wii Online games that I wouldn't know. We gave you a lot of like customization during your versus and your battles. You had team versus, you have team battle, you have coin mode, whatever. Here, you lose versus. It's kind of weird. You can't versus against like computers on your own if you just want to get into a track. I don't know why you would, but let's say you want to. You can't? Like, you have time trials, battle mode, and that's it. I think it's also very jarring considering DS had the most crazy requested nowadays mode in the Mario Kart history, like mission mode. So it's weird that 3DS doesn't bring that back. Right? Like, I don't know, it feels like something's missing. I feel like this game, you race through it once, and it's like, that was fun. And then you move on. Like, it doesn't have this replay value. It's very one and done to me. I raced through these tracks, and once I got the footage, like, yeah, I had fun. But I don't want to play it again. Like, I don't see any point in playing it again. And again, maybe this is hindsight fault with Mario Kart 8, but I'm like, oh, what else can I do? I could race again. And that's it. Like, DS, it's like, oh, I want to go back and do the missions. Oh, the time trials are so difficult. Oh, the items are so chaotic that that's a lot of replay value. I could run through Luigi's Circuit, nothing happens, and then I can run through Luigi's Circuit and I get 50 blue shells. Then double dash, oh, I can make this combination and this combination. So dead with Bowser. Mario Kart 64 is like, oh, I can break the tracks literally because speedrunning is insane in that game. This one, like, I wouldn't say it's the only Mario Kart game that I feel this way with. Like, again, I don't have any reason to go back to Super Mario Kart or Super Circuit, but this one is weird because it's a modern Mario Kart game. So it has all the cool things I mentioned already, but I don't want to play this again? Like, I don't want to go through these cups again? I don't know, it's really weird in that sense. Like, there's no reason to go back to this, I don't know. I want to talk about battle mode. Sorry if that sounded like the outro of the video, but it was more like a spur of the moment thing that I was like, wow, there is so much cool things in this game, but I don't care. So, battle mode. Again, you have less stages, you have actually 6. So you have 3 originals and 3 retro. The 3 originals, funnily enough, I would say battle mode, thank you for bringing Honeybee Hive. Again, Mario Galaxy love, thank you. Sherbet Rink, because I love Sherbet Land, so thank you. And Woohoo Town, again, more Wii Sports love, but I'm also shocked there's so much Wii Sports love in this game. I love it, thank you, but why Wii Sports, of all things? I don't know, but thank you. Then the retro stages, you have GBA Battle Course 1, which is just the grid. N64 Big Donut, which I love this stage, thank you. And DS Palm Shore, which is fine. So, again, obviously, you have less battle mode tracks because, again, it's a handheld, the same way you have less roster characters. Battle mode's same old, same old. It's timed, though, so, again, I think we made this thing where battle mode starts to be timed because they added online. So, just to prevent from battle mode to drag online, they made it time mode, but I don't know why you don't add a switch. Like, do you want to play point-based, or do you want to play time mode and whoever had the most points wins? I don't get why you would not give people the option. And I don't know, it's weird. But again, it's same old battle mode from Wii. Nothing too crazy here. So, I know you're probably expecting me to talk about online, but like I said, 3DS I did not own. And even if I did, 3DS Online is now dead as of 2023 because, you know, Nintendo. I know there is a mod that allows you to play online, kind of like what I covered last time, but this time it's CTGP7, and I did try to run it. I made so many tries trying to get to run that on Citra, but I could not. I don't know what's going on with my files. That's why there is no mod footage. I would love to play that, but I could not get it to work. I don't know why. I did everything I could and nothing gets it to work, but that mod gets consistent support, very good online from what I've seen, new characters, new tracks. So if you can play Mario Kart 7 modded through CTGP7, I thoroughly recommend you do so. I tried, I couldn't, but please do it. It's so much fun. It looks like so much fun. Sorry, I wish I could say it's so much fun. I wish I could play it, but it looks so refreshing. It looks so cool. It brings older tracks. It makes the new tracks like I covered with Mario Kart Wii Deluxe last time. Looks amazing, and I'm glad Mario Kart is one of those communities that people try to keep the older games alive. I see it mostly with like yes, 64, Wii, and 7. 64 is rather recent, but Wii and 7 I think are the top dogs. DS has a lot of like modded tracks, but Wii and 7 people are like, yeah, let's bring back online, let's bring back the Wii channel, let's bring back... make sure to update this. For some reason Nintendo updated the game last year, and the modders were like, okay, this sucks, but whatever, we can rework it, and they did, thankfully. Very weird stuff, but whatever. I'm happy to see that Mario Kart has this community of people trying to keep it alive. I think that's fantastic. Please keep it up. So, Mario Kart 7, huh? So, it's a great time. Again, the footage I gathered, I was having so much fun. I thought the track design was fantastic, very much, very diverse, very rich. A lot of paths you can go to. Lovely stuff. The roster is very funny. But I don't have any reason to go back to this after this video. Like, nothing wrong with the game, but you know those times you play something and you're like, that was cool, and you put it down. And I think lately I've been playing a lot of like Wii U games and like 3DS games, like Super Mario 3D Land, Star Fox Zero, and that stuff. I think that was the problem with Nintendo this generation. They were putting stuff out, and sure, it was quality stuff, but no reason to go back to it. Like, let's say if I had friends here, I wouldn't be like, yo, let's play Mario Kart 7. I had friends here, and the first thing they said is, can we play Mario Kart Wii? Well, not can we, they're not like children. Do you want to play Mario Kart Wii, basically? And we were all having a blast. I'm not saying you can't do that with 7. Obviously, it will be harder because, you know, you need the 3DSs and whatnot, but I don't know, it feels like there's nothing to this game that it's like, yeah, let's go back to Mario Kart 7. And again, I think that's because I'm looking at it sometimes with 8 painted glasses. But I don't think there's anything worth going to here. Like, outside of the tracks, obviously, that's the thing for every Mario Kart. The previous Mario Karts, I usually said in the previous videos, oh, if you want to go back to it, be careful with the controls, be careful with this, be careful with that, I hope you have fun with this. But in 7, it feels, like I said, on the plus side, it's good that they finally allowed the handhelds to have the console quality. But at the same time, why don't you go play the console game? That I feel like it's a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, okay, you have the handheld, really good Mario Kart, but unless you're like traveling or whatever. But if you have people, if you want to play Mario Kart with people, go play Mario Kart Wii or Double Dash, 64. I don't say DS because you need DS and whatever. I'm talking strictly console. Well, nowadays, obviously, the obvious thing will be go play Mario Kart 8, right? So I feel like, although this game's good, I would say outside of the tracks, and even then, a lot of tracks from 7 are in 8. If you're really curious, go play these, but I think you're fine without it, because if you're playing 8, you pretty much played 7, in my opinion. there is not much to go back to this one. As fun as it is, as cool as it is, as revolutionary as it is, because 8 still gets support, and 8 is based around this game. So I think it's a good starting point. But if you're playing 8, don't come back to this. I think it's a good leap from Wii to 7. I think that's a good leap, but from 7 and 8, I think 7 lost its point of like replayability. I don't think there is much point coming back to this outside of like track curiosity. So yeah, it's a fun time, but honestly, it will be fine if I never play it again, unless I download CTGP7 and I get it to work. Then yeah, obviously. But I don't have any reason to go back to all these tracks, all these characters. I just don't. That's a bit of a dour note. I know it's a bit sour. I get it, but yeah, fun time. Just memorable too. I love the tracks. Again, Wii Sport Resort, love. But other than that, I just don't see any reason for you to go back to this one. If you're playing 8, if not, I would recommend. Like if you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you get to 7, yeah, play it. Other than that, just I'll let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry this is shorter than the other ones. It's just there is less to talk about. Now we can finally sit back, wait for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to finish its DLC run, and then we'll talk about 8. I'll talk about both 8s though. Like I'll record the logs, but I will talk about Mario Kart 8 mechanics, and then what Deluxe added, and then the tracks and whatever. But I want to wait for the DLC run. I want the game to be over, so I just talk about it once, and that's it. But again, thank you so much for watching. And 2024, it will be Mario Kart 8. I'm sorry it takes so long, but the entire year Mario Kart 8 is going to be getting DLC, so we'll have to wait. Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.